Very sad day, not just for the families of these fallen young people, but the whole country. I'm sure you can recall that some of us went to court, even demanded the presence of the Inspector General of Police and the Director of the CID. Eventually they turned up. And what is amazing is on the day they turned up, it is the same day that two bodies were apparently identified here. So it is obvious those who abducted them were following what's going on in courts and in the country. The police entries are talking about murder in the case of one body, and the other one, death by drowning. And they want the country to believe that that is actually the true story. Well, yesterday, Cabinet Secretary Justin Muturi was here, along with Senator Dan Manzo, representing the families. And they were able to express shock. For Justin Muturi said, he could just have been like one of these parents had he not had the privilege to reach out to the highest authority in the land, President Ruto, and that's probably what saved his son. But these are the parents who are not as lucky because hawajui jinsi ya kumfikia rais. Ukweli wa mambo ni kwamba mauaji haya yamefanywa na watu ambao wana uhusiano ama wajulikana wao wenyewe, kikundi ambacho kimekuwa na hiyo tabia, na hata kama hakijulikani, ni jukumu la serikali iliyoko mamlakani kulinda wananchi wasije wakawa abducted. So it is like in this country, it's a free for all. There's nobody who can defend you. And when you get abducted and killed, I liked the headline in the Standard, abducted and killed. That is the whole truth. Therefore, I agree with Mheshimiwa Muturi that this country needs to set up a commission of inquiry into the whole matter of these illegal, illegitimate, unfortunate abductions, which have caught the attention of the entire world. And it will not be a commission to be established by William Ruto alone. It must involve the opposition, and if they are willing. And if they are not willing, we will hold our sessions and decide whether to constitute our own commission of inquiry. These killings cannot just be wished away. It is too heavy a price for the country to pay. Just to assume murder, death by murder, death by drowning. So we are here to express our condolences to the families affected, and even those, because we're also demanding there are two other bodies unidentified, or one at least. On behalf of the families, the country would want to have them dead or alive. And I repeat, nobody can wish away this whole matter of killing by the state. And they want us to believe it is not them. Now we are calling it as it is, abductions and killing by the state. State-sponsored killings. So I think Mheshimiwa Eugene and viongozi wenzangu hapa, Mheshimiwa Senator Wambua, I think some of these young men are from your county. Mheshimiwa County Women Rep, Mheshimiwa Kasalu na wale viongozi wengine, Mheshimiwa Waititu, we shall consort and find the way forward. It cannot be that this is the end of the matter. If anything, it is the beginning ya kuwafichua hawa so that they will know this is a country under the rule of law and not a country under the rule of gangsters who operate with the full knowledge and concurrence and perhaps support of the state. That's what I want to say for now. And we have to act. We know the Law Society has even demanded certain other actions. Of course, some of us are members of the Law Society, and we must all dig in and fight for the true liberation of this country.
Thank you very much. Let me also join my brother in passing my condolences to the families of Martin and Justice. They are here with us, and we've been able to see the bodies of these two young men. They were supposed to be produced in court, but they were identified here dead. There are other missing. We're talking about the Mlolongo 3. But in the previous case, you remember, we had 6 missing young men. When we had Kinakibet and the rest, 5 were recovered. They went back to their families. Steve is still missing, the 6th person. We want to say this matter must be addressed. The buck stops with William Ruto, the president and the commander-in-chief. He cannot be busy protecting Haitian women and children from gangs and abductors 12,000 kilometers away in Haiti. And Kenyan children are being killed like flies. He cannot be too busy running to DRC to protect the Congolese women and children. And Kenyan women and children are being murdered right here. And the police are clueless. They're saying they do not know who is abducting these young Kenyans. There's just one thing in common here. They are critics of this government. Since the 25th of June, 2024, William Ruto and his government have been tracing these young men. They have been picking them up one by one, and the intention is to silence them. But today, as we stand with the families, we want to say, yes, you might silence Justice, who is very silent in this morgue here, or Martin and others. But you are not going to silence Kenyans. You must do what is right. What you promised in Homa Bay to stop the abductions, to release all abductees, that is something you must honor. And we're here to demand that. And to also say that we would expect, not more than a week from now, that a commission of inquiry is formed so that we have all parties concerned to get to the bottom of this matter of abductions, which is not just a matter of national concern, but international concern. So that is one demand as we stand here as the opposition, we want to insist on, and we thank you for coming to condole with these families.
Senator.
Thank you very much. I also want to add my voice to what our leaders have said, condoling with the families of especially Martin and Justice. I want to go on record so the country may know that actually there is a body that was brought here, and it's on the record, alongside the body tagged 2390. There is a body tagged 2360, which even the morgue operators are unable to say where that body is. It's on the record, but nobody knows where the body is. I want to call on the president, as a leader in this country, to just do the honorable thing. These children who have been killed in the manner that they have been killed are children belonging to Kenyan parents. These children are precious in the eyes of their parents, as Ruto's children are precious in his own eyes. want to ask the president if he is either unwilling or unable to stop this spate of abductions, then he has no business being in office. The first responsibility of any government is to protect the lives of its citizens. If Kenya's lives cannot be protected under the leadership of one William Samoei Ruto, then him and his government have no business whatsoever being in office. As our leaders have said, let a commission be set and let the truth be told. I thank you.
First and foremost, I want to condole with the families that have been affected by the abduction of their children. And when I look at this, I feel that there's a scheme. And these bodies are being released piecemeal. I want to believe that possibly all the bodies are actually here. But they are doing it in a manner. When they feel to release a body, they release it. And they are forgetting that these are children, their mothers. I'm a mother myself. I can only imagine what the parents are going through. So I want to ask Mr. Ruto, you promised to end abductions. And you are busy in Congo and sending our troops to Haiti and all over. While your own people, when your own people are being abducted and being killed. This is absurd. And actually, if I was the commissioner of police, I think by now I should have resigned. Because your foremost duty is to protect Kenyans, and you have failed totally to do that. So as Kenyans, we want our children released alive or dead. And form a commission of inquiry soonest so that we can get answers, and we want our children safe. Asanteni.
Thank you. I also want to take this opportunity to condole the families of those young boys. And we want to just remind Mr. Ruto about what he said when there were those Yala liver bodies when we were campaigning. I remember very well he shouted loudly that what we saw in Yala liver will never be seen again in this country. What we are now seeing is worse than what had even happened that time. These are young people who only did something that is normal to young people, associating themselves with social media, which is not a big crime. But what we are wondering is, how inhuman are you, Mr. Ruto? Please. We know you are a parent, but can you imagine what we are doing to other parents? What we are asking you is what exactly Mr. Justin Muturi asked you yesterday. Please stop these abductions and killing youths in this country. You should apologize. And you should not even be associated with any peace process in DRC or even Haiti. Because what is happening here is almost even more than what is happening there. Tafadhali, we are very ashamed to have been involved in campaigning for you to be elected as a president because of what is happening. Everybody who voted for you is not sleeping in peace because of remembering that they brought somebody who is inhuman, who is making other families to cry day and night. And what I want to say, lastly, Bwana Ruto, tafadhali, mambo ya mauaji, mtu yote ashafanya vile wewe umefanya. Actually, you should be packing, kwa sababu watu wote wanaona 2027 ikiwa mbali sana, ndio wakupeleke nyumbani. just be assured that you have booked your ticket to going back to Sugoi because of what you are doing with your own people. Na everybody knows hii mambo yote is sanctioned from State House. Hakuna mtu ajui na hakuna mtu mnaweza ndanganya. Watu wote wananchi wanajua hii mambo inakuwa sanctioned from State House. Hao watu wanasema ati hawajui askari, ni kweli. Askari wanajua lakini hawezi ongea. Lakini behind the back wanasema hiyo kundi ambayo inaua watu wanajua directions wanapata kutoka State House. Watu wanajua, sio hakuna wajinga hapa Kenya. Watu wanajua what is exactly happening. Na wewe tunataka kukwambia mambo tena hapa kwa mortuary, tunasikia wengine wanafurugwa ati kwa sababu wameoneshana mili hapa. Tunataka kuambia Sakaja, hii mortuary ni ya Nairobi County, na hapa hakutakiwi kuwa ukora hata kidogo, because we are suspecting mili inafichwa hapa mpaka maneno ikichacha kotini inatokea tena, because as it is mili inakuwa discovered hapa kwa mortuary namna gani? Lazima ni kufichwa, inafichwa. Kwa hivyo city county should not associate themselves with the wrongdoings of the police ambayo wanaua watu. Okay.
One thing, mwishowe, hapa pametajwa mambo ya DRC na hata Haiti. I want the country to know that had William Ruto allowed Uhuru Kenyatta to continue with the mission in Eastern DRC, the hostilities we are seeing over Ngoma and Eastern DRC would perhaps not even have happened. But because of bad faith, and it will be recalled that DRC joined the East African community, and the main reason for that integration, including Somalia thereafter, was to make sure there's peace in the region and therefore development. The process had to be moved to Angola. What William Ruto did was to ensure that Uhuru Kenyatta was not facilitated because he was a chief mediator. He was not facilitated, so the whole thing deteriorated and taken over by SADC and moved to Angola. This is some of the truth. So don't even assume that William Ruto can go to Kinshasa. He can't. Our own embassy was touched. This is not the kind of international relations we expect to see in our country. Kenya has been respected internationally until now. Even that virtual meeting they wanted to hold, I'm sure they didn't, because Felix Tshisekedi, whom I personally know, said no. The first handshake ya Raila na Uhuru enabled me to go and negotiate between President Kabila and President Tshisekedi. And they formed a coalition. And the DRC eventually joined the community. Now, even the entire East African community is at the verge of collapse. So this is how bad this whole thing is. Of course, we took our position as opposition. We are against that deployment of Kenyans, as Eugene is saying, 12,000 kilometers away in Haiti to stop gangsters. And you allow your own gangsters to kill your own people. As I said earlier, this will not go away. I propose that the Law Society of Kenya takes the lead in the formation of this commission of inquiry. Because we can't leave it to William Ruto, because he's an interested party. We thank you.
Okay, maybe the first question is quickly, given that Babayo has raised it, in that court proceedings that you were there with Mheshimiwa Eugene and others, are we likely to see you fronting the judge to somebody like Sakaja? Because you see, it's not a coincidence that the day the IG and the DCI boss are coming to court, 2 bodies are found here. So are we likely to see Sakaja being someone to give some answers? And then secondly, given that you have toured this particular area, is there a shortage? Were people fired? What have you established?
Well, on that bit about people being fired and being intimidated or victimized, we are still gathering concrete truth about it. The evidence, the facts, get the facts, and if they are clear, so that you are not engaged in a speculative approach to this very key matter, then we'll deal with it. Because these matters are live in court. And since they are live in court, this is why I'm suggesting that LSK takes the leadership in terms of establishing this commission of inquiry.
My name is Ole Francis from Citizen.
Yes, sir.
For the families, wamekuja hapa asubuhi sana ili kuweza kuhakikisha wameweza kushughulikiwa. Up to now we have not seen any folks wana tetesi kwamba wameulizwa wamekuja kufanya nini hapa. Maybe wakati mliingia mlijaribu kufind out kwamba wameweza kushughulikiwa, na kama wameshughulikiwa kwa namna gani?
Familia wamekuwa hapa tangu juzi, tumewaona hapa na wengine bado wako hapa. Mimi kama party leader wa Wiper, vijana wao wawili nadhani wanatoka Kitui County. Moja Kitui na moja Machakos, Katangi. So governor wa counties are Machakos and Kitui. I want to ask them to relieve the pain, because obviously we have now to bury these young people. In the meantime, we're also standing with the family, the 2 families and the 3 families, because even the other 2 families are so caring. Hawataki hata washughulikiwe kabla hao wengine kama huyu Steve Kavangi, is it Kavangi? Kavingo kupatikana na Kalani vile vile. Kwa hivyo the families are in solidarity with each other, and we also as the leaders, we are with them. Whatever it takes, we will stand with them and help them where we can, because clearly they're on their own. Kama ambavyo mmesema, hakuna anataka kuwashughulikia.
Maybe just to add from what my colleague here asked, the court has powers to summon anyone in this country who will assist into the inquiry of these deaths, disappearances, and extrajudicial killings. As you are aware, there are several people who have been summoned. And you remember Wakili Ndegwa made a specific application. Certain leaders in the broad-based government who are alleging that these Kenyans are abducting themselves. And some of those have been summoned to court. And let them come and shed light. Led by Kimani Ichung'wah, Francis Atwoli, Didmas Baraza, Kenneth Lusaka, and I think we had Waluke and others, those who allege that Kenyans are abducting themselves. Today we ask them, did Justus abduct and kill himself? Did Martin abduct and kill himself? The young men lying in these cold rooms here. Those who are trivializing this issue of extrajudicial killings and abductions will answer to the court, because they have been summoned to do so. On the issue of the city county of Nairobi and Sakaja maybe interfering in the operations of these institutions, because perhaps some workers here gave more information than they were supposed to. Sakaja is not above the law. If we get evidence, as His Excellency has said, that there's some collusion here between these institutions and the police to hide bodies here, and victims who have been abducted, they too will be summoned to court. They will answer. They'll have their day in court. Because if this turns out to be not just a place for storing bodies, but a crime scene where the police are colluding to hide bodies, abduct people, kill them, and dump them here, then those behind that, including the leadership of this county and this country, will be answerable. Thank you.
Thank you. Nashukuru sana.